Hey friends, welcome back to the Procrastination Solution podcast, where we get real about what's holding you back and how to move forward with purpose, clarity, and a solid plan for success. I am your host, Nilo Burke, and I help women just like yourself overcome procrastination for good and achieve your goals. Today's episode is titled Pre-Schedule a 20-Minute Recharge. It's a simple concept, but I know it will make a difference in your energy levels throughout the entire week. Yes, just 20 minutes every day. It will make a great impact and it will be a game changer for you once you make a habit out of it doing this daily, okay? So here's your one action step, basically. Open your calendar and pick a time. Schedule a 20-minute break for every day this week. That's it. Start with consistency. Don't worry about perfection right now. If you miss a day, notice it without shame, notice it without beating yourself up, and return the next day. That's it. Remember, you're not a machine. You're a woman of purpose, vision, and value, and a lot on your plate. So treat yourself like somebody who matters, somebody who needs a little recharge every day. Now, why schedule it ahead of time? Because if you don't pre-schedule it, life will happen and life will fill in the gaps for us, right? We know this from experience. We tend to plan around everything and everyone else's needs, and it leaves our own restoration to chance. Whenever I get a chance, whenever I, have a moment, I'll take a break. That's what we normally think. But this week, I'm inviting you to reverse that. Put it on in your calendar. Set a phone reminder. Write it on a sticky note. Claim those 20 minutes for you. And in fact, when I teach my Smart Start Sunday little program, it's not a program. It's a lesson inside of my one-on-one coaching program. So when I teach that, I teach my clients to really own their own time during the week. And the more you do it, you will learn that you actually become sort of possessive of that time. Like you want that time for yourself and you protect it. That's what I guess that's a better word for it. You become protective of it. You want to make sure that you get that time for yourself because you learn over time as you put it into practice that it really helps you. It has so many benefits and you will learn that your body craves it, right? It's like the more water you drink, the more thirsty you sort of feel. So like you're out there drinking more water. It's sort of like that. And if you use those 20 minutes, if you get into a habit of using them wisely, that's what you will do. And your brain will come up with all these different ways to relax during that time. It gives your brain a moment. Your body will learn that your 20 minutes of recharge or 30 minutes of recharge are coming up. And it will give you like a little reset, like a nervous system reset, where you know that you can take a breather, you can calm yourself, you can calm your body and your mind. And those 20 minutes are yours. Right? So you become really protective of this time. Okay. So let's talk about the science behind why this matters. So most of us are running on fumes during certain parts of the year, right? I hope you're not running on fumes all year long, but there are certain times of the year, depending on our role in life, when we are very tired and we need the rest more than normal, right? So you may want to schedule extra time during those times, but we power through tasks, right, on a daily basis. We push ourselves to produce, and then we crash in the evenings wondering why we feel so drained and unmotivated the next day. I know from personal experience, this was my experience when I was pushing myself to the limit, running on coffee, and I would have to take like a late evening nap. And what that did was it would like mess with my sleeping times later at night. And then I would have such a hard time falling asleep. And then I would wake up in the morning tired. This was like this vicious cycle that I, was sort of functioning in for several years. But So the thing is, your brain isn't built for nonstop output. It really isn't. We sleep and we get, deep sleep, REM sleep. Our sleep is so important. Our rest is so important in order for us to recharge. Okay. So, research from the University of Illinois found that even short breaks during mentally demanding tasks significantly boost focus and permanence. Our attention starts to decline after 20 minutes of intense focus. So, breaks don't just feel good, they restore our cognitive ability. Another research said that NASA even backs this up. Their study found that pilots who took 20 to 40-minute naps improved performance by 34% and alertness by 100%. So that's not fluff. That's neuroscience and biology doing what it's supposed to do. And I used to do this when I taught at a middle school. I didn't, have my kids take a nap, but what I had different blocks throughout the day, and the block right after lunch was just really frazzled or like sort of disorganized or all over the place. And so I learned that when they come in to the classroom right after lunch, they're coming in with this explosive energy. They've had to eat and converse and chat and all the stuff in the cafeteria with their friends. So they're coming in with this explosive energy, and getting them to get right to work was absolutely not. It was not going to be in their ability. Like, it was not possible. So one thing that I used to do was they would come in, they would sit down, I would turn off the lights, I would put on a timer on the board for between 1 to 3 minutes, and I would just let them sit in silence. And they, I allowed them to finish eating their snack that they didn't finish from lunch, finish drinking their water or whatever they needed to do, if they needed to go to the bathroom. But during those, 3 minutes, they had to sit in silence. They could put down their heads. They could, like I said, finish their food, but we were not working. We were not taking any materials out. And in the beginning, when they were doing that, I was like working on things, like getting the material ready for the class. But then I realized that distracted them. So then I also just stopped. For those 3 minutes, we turned off the lights. We had the timer going on the board, and everybody just sat still. Right? And all you heard was maybe crunching from people eating their chips. And that did wonders to just reset the energy. And because the thing is, those 3 minutes that we used to rest, we used more time to get everybody's attention back on the task, or to actually start paying attention on the work. So we actually saved time by doing like a little reset right after lunch before we got right to work. So I know that's not a 20-minute recharge, but I wanted to give you like an example from my life, because I know that did wonders for my middle schoolers. So, why women need this intentionally, if you're thinking, I don't have time to take a break, that's the exact reason why you need to do this. Right? That's the reason why you need to do this. You need to create time. That's why we schedule things. We have to carve out time throughout our day, our week, for things intentionally, including exercise, right? When people say, I don't have time for exercise, there is time. You need to carve it out. And you need to prioritize things. You need to set boundaries. There are other things that you can put into place in order to create this, right? That's what I help my clients do. Because you might have a little blind spot. You might not be seeing from another outsider's perspective, like what your schedule looks like. Where are you spending your time? I, help my clients do a time audit, have them, take notes, for 1 week. What exactly are they doing? Be super honest with their time audit. I'm not judging them if they're spending, 45 minutes here and an hour there scrolling or whatever. I ask them to write it down. It's more eye-opening for them. right? When they actually look back and see it. You even have apps on your phone that tell you how much time you spent on, social media, on games, or on productive stuff, right? So you may say you don't have time, but that is the exact reason why you need to carve out time and make time for rest, for recharge, right? So that you're not running on fumes, so that your brain is not running at 100 miles an hour, and you're not forgetting things, or running late on assignments, or running late on projects or tasks around the house, or taking care of yourself, right? So women, especially women juggling multiple roles, often delay rest until everything is done, right? And the result is burnout. The result is this mental brain fog, like irritability and guilt. We experience so much guilt for various reasons at the end of the day, right? And a 20-minute intentional break isn't selfish. It's a productive strategy. It's self-leadership, right? And it's a radical act of self-respect, right? And this is something that I am urging you to consider, because the biggest way for us to change any habits that are not serving us very well right now, or the biggest way for us to take care of ourselves, is to show ourselves respect in various ways. And I talk about setting boundaries. When we do this, we are also setting boundaries with ourselves. Like when you tell yourself, I'm going to take these 20 minutes to recharge, to rest, and instead of doing something, like scrolling for just scrolling purposes, or, something else that's not rest, you are setting a boundary with yourself. And most of the time, those boundaries are the hardest lessons that we learn to set with ourselves, right? Boundaries are not easy to set with anybody, but with ourselves, it's even the hardest. So if you can achieve that, you can achieve anything. So what a 20-minute break might look like for you, right? So let me give you just some real world example that might apply to you depending on, where you are in your walk in life. So if you are a busy business owner, you can step away from the screen. You can sit in the sun. Just sitting outside is so helpful, without any phones, without notifications. I have a smartwatch on my phone. I leave it in another room when I just need a break, right? In fact, I'm just going to insert this here. I was telling my husband last night that when I have had too much of the screens, or when I am feeling myself getting tired, like mentally tired, even if my body is not tired, like if my brain is tired, I feel myself feeling nauseated. Like I told him, I was like, this is really weird. I've been feeling sort of nauseated. And he was like, like, why don't you Google screen nausea or something like that? And wouldn't you know it, there is such a thing out there. Like if you're staring at screens for too long, you feel nauseated. So Google it yourself and you'll see what I mean. And it talks about a bunch of, technicalities and technical language, but I had no idea that staring at a screen, at my phone, at my computer, my tablet, can cause nausea. And I have been feeling like this for a while, but last night was the first time, I verbalized it. And so, I finally looked it up because I didn't think anything of it. It was an eye opener. So I encourage you to do that if you've been feeling that way. Or go to your doctor, God forbid, if there's something else going on with you. Now, sit in the sun, no screen, no notifications. You can journal, write things down. Even if you don't have a journal, get a piece of paper, a pencil. This doesn't have to be something that you keep. If you are not a fan of journaling, that's fine. Just write something down. Write down your wins. Write down some thoughts, some things that you're experiencing. And just take slow breaths. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. There are so many breathing activities out there, and there's so many people trained in that area. YouTube is free. Go and Google something for you to learn and apply that when you are on your own with no screens, and you can practice those activities. If you are a, work from home mom, stay at home mom, work from home mom is a stay at home mom for me. Stay at home moms are working moms. Turn on, you know, a 20-minute show for your kids. Give yourself permission to just sit and stretch. Lay down, close your eyes, get a towel, wet the towel, put it over your eyes, and put on headphones. If you don't need to be in the same room as your children, I totally get it. Just laying down, putting on some headphones, laying down with the towel on your eyes. Oh man, it's like a treat. So this helps just immensely when you are very, very tired. You can sip some hot tea, cold water, anything, to calm your body, calm your nervous system, relax your shoulder, stretch your neck. All of this is part of that 20-minute recharge, right? If you are a full-time employee working in an office or, in your place of employment, you can schedule the break on your work schedule, like a meeting, if it is at all possible for you, or do this 20-minute recharge during your lunch break. Walk outside, breathe deeply, don't check emails, put on noise canceling headphones and listen to, a mindset podcast, maybe even this one, or just sit in silence with yourself. That is totally allowed. That's okay. And for women, healing or navigating chronic stress, turn off stimulation. Lay down and set a timer. Put your hand on your heart, and one hand on your heart, the other hand on your belly, and just breathe and just be. Again, there are breathing exercises that, other people who are professionals and certified in all sorts of areas can teach you better. So maybe you can research some, learn a few simple practices, and then apply those during your 20-minute recharge. For those of you who are like the deep thinkers and high achievers, use the 20 minutes for like a brain dump of everything that's on your mind. Or just sit in silence and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Right? I know that those of us who are stimulated constantly, when I was teaching middle school, we're constantly just overstimulated because of the nature of the job. So during my lunch breaks, I would close my door, I used to teach middle school, so walk my students to lunch, go back to my room, close the door, turn off the lights, and then just sit in silence, sit in the dark and just relax to get ready for the second half of the day. And that truly helped me to recharge, to be ready, and to turn off some of the, stimulation around me, because, we have the students, all the talking, all the technology around us and the lessons and a lot of talking. So if that is sort of your job, then you need the 20-minute recharge at least to, to be able to do an actual good job at your job, right? Now, why schedule it ahead of time? Again, do this ahead of time because life will fill in our time for us. Things will show up, and if you have something scheduled, after a while, you do become protective of that time, and you want to make sure that you get that every day. So here's what I've noticed in my own life, with my coaching clients. When women consistently take 20-minute recharge breaks, they make decisions faster. They don't experience that brain fog, that brain fatigue, that decision fatigue, because they're taking a break from all of that. And hey, listen, if you can do this more than once a day, more power to you. Absolutely go ahead. Take a 20-minute break at any time, and then, take another 20-minute break at a different time period if you're able to do that at all. And women feel more emotionally regulated, right? I have been through those days when I am like doing something with my kids and, it's like I'm patient, I'm using my, gentle parenting voice, and I'm being, but I know that I'm sort of on the edge, and I have been running on fumes all day and I'm tired. And there's this moment where I want to snap at them because children are, they're trying, right? And it may not be your child. It may be something else. It might be, the driver that cuts you off on the road. It might be a coworker, or, something not working out at work, a printer. When you're not emotionally regulated, you're not going to make a sound decision um, some when something is trying your patience, right? So you are more emotionally regulated when you recharge yourself after a short break, right? You also stop the all or nothing thinking that leads to procrastination because you're so exhausted. You can't give something 10 minutes. I talk about doing something, starting something for 10 minutes to make sure that you create momentum on your to-do list. The truth is, when we have things to do from the moment we wake up until the moment we sleep, right? We can find plenty of things to do. And when we are not emotionally regulated, even if we've accomplished so much like on a particular day, we still might feel like I haven't done enough. Don't you feel like that sometimes? It's like I haven't done enough. And you might think I'm going to stay up late to get this done, or I'm going to, skip this or that to get this done. That's because you are not emotionally regulated. You are like sort of running on, I was going to say fumes, but there was another word I was looking for. You feel like you didn't get to do something that you really wanted to do. And so at this point, you're sort of panicking, like fight or flight. But if you are recharged, if you are relaxed, and your nervous system is not fighting for rest, or it's not fighting for some sort of regulation, you will see that you are okay, that you are safe. The things around you, they will get done. The things on your to-do list that you didn't get done today, you can get them done tomorrow. And the 10 minutes that you might want to dedicate to something before you go to sleep, that is enough, right? So you stop the all or nothing thinking. You don't have to get everything done on your to-do list if on a particular day that is not how life has been for you that day, right? So you need to be able to be calm enough for you to recognize that and step back and say, okay, I see. Today has been a little hectic. I understand. I am not going to get all of this done. I'm just going to get part of this done, or a very small part of it, and the rest I will do tomorrow. And that builds self-trust, because we are teaching ourselves when we do these things. I'm going on a tangent here, so stay with me. The way we live our life, our body sort of learns how we live our life, right? So when you do this thing, it's like you're programming yourself into thinking that this is how you're going to be doing things. I sort of want to compare this to the algorithm of social media, but I don't know if it's going to be like a similar comparison. So if you treat yourself with kindness and patience, then your body, your nervous system, you expect kindness and patience from yourself. And so the more we expect it, the more we treat ourselves like that. And so then we have like now turned over a new leaf. Now we are a complete different version of ourselves. Before, when we used to panic over certain things, now you look back and you're like, oh man, that's really interesting. I used to panic about that. Like, that doesn't even matter to me anymore, right? So if you're the kind of person who, has to have a clean kitchen, like counters are clean, all the dishes are put away, no dirty dishes. And if you, from time to time, if you think, you know what, I've given it my all today, I'm going to do these dishes tomorrow, that extends kindness and grace to yourself, and your body sort of learns to relax. And then the next time that you have had a long day, or you have been, sort of all over the place, you're not extra stressed because there's dishes, because you in the past gave yourself that grace of leaving the dishes for tomorrow, right? And This is what I mean by building skills. Like once you build skills, they are like toolboxes in our backpack, like Dora's backpack, right? She had so many tools in her backpack. Every time she needed something, she would just reach back there, right? And for us, unfortunately, our tools don't just magically exist in a, Dora backpack. We have to build them, right? And then we have to put them there. And then when we need them, it's there. Then it's like a magical backpack. So the same thing applies to, setting boundaries. Once we have set boundaries with ourselves and we practice following through, and then we can slowly, slowly set boundaries with other people in different ways. We set boundaries with our, spouses, with our children, with our, family of origin, with our friends, our work, place of work, and neighbors. So then we're so good at it because now we can set boundaries with anybody, right? Because that tool we developed and it's in our backpack. We can take it out and use it in, variety of different ways in other areas. All right, that was a tangent. And the last thing that I have seen women accomplish are returning to tasks with more clarity and confidence. So if you stop the all or nothing thinking that leads to procrastination, right, you can return to tasks. So if you didn't get to the dishes last night, then this morning you can get to them and finish them quickly and go about your way. There is not a single thought in your brain. You're not beating yourself up thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't get this done. Or I can't believe nobody thought to put this away, right? Nobody does this. I am the only one who does this. There is no ill will towards the dishes being dirty. It's like, okay, here's the task. It needs to get done. Let's do it and move on with our lives, right? And I am capable of doing it. I am doing it, or I am capable of telling somebody else to do it, and just moving on with your day, right? You feel so much clearer. You don't feel this brain fog. You don't feel this dialogue in your head about what you should be doing or what somebody else should be doing. Like all the should voices sort of, begin to disappear. Like my friend Katie, I learned from her many, many years ago. She says, don't should yourself. And I was like, what? What are you saying? Don't should myself? And that was so eye-opening for me because that is what leads to guilt, right? Shoulding myself, shoulding other people. You should know this by now. I should know this by now. It's like the biggest driver of guilt. All right. So I urge you to take, a little bit of time today and look at your calendar for the rest of the week and schedule a 20-minute break for yourself. And maybe you can write down, how you're going to take that break and then just do it. Right. And if you skip a day or you forgot a day because this is your first week doing it and you are not really used to it, that's okay. Pick it up the next day and keep going. And then next week, do it again. The week after, do it again. And before you know it, this is going to become like your pattern. It's going to be this thing you do. You look at your calendar and you set a 20-minute break. This is your time. It reminds me of the... I don't know if you guys are a Big Bang Theory fan, but it reminds me of the episode where Sheldon sort of disappears for 20 minutes. I don't know if it was 20 minutes every day or 20 minutes once a week, but basically he disappears. He doesn't tell his friends where he's going. And then Raj and Howard, Kutrapali, and Wolowitz, they are speculating. They're following him, figuring out where he's going, and they follow him to this room in the basement or something, and they find, they break into the room. It's a hilarious episode, so you should definitely look it up. If you're a Big Bang Theory fan, you probably know it, but if you don't, look it up. I forget the name of the episode, but Anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome week. If you love this episode, please share it with a friend who needs a break too. Tag me on Instagram at Nilo Burke Coaching and tell me what kind of recharge break you're scheduling for yourself for today. Okay? So you got this, my friend. I am rooting for you all the way. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.